Hello to all my fans and friends, I'm the Pyjama Critic, and because current restrictions in Britain are going on to infinity and beyond, I'm here in the slumber lounge talking about movies. Now, I remember many discussions with my father in the early 90s about the merits and drawbacks of computers and animation. We never thought that computer-generated cartoons could measure up to the hand-drawn classics, but that's because we were thinking of 2D hand-drawn images that were then made to move with the assistance of computers, resulting in rather static backgrounds and a general absence of detail. In the mid-90s, Pixar came along and changed all that for good by deciding that if computers were going to be used in animation, then they should be used to their fullest. No more simply repeating a series of hand-drawn frames to save on drawing time, but creating highly detailed 3D images using a digital picture rendering tool and using the appropriate programs to bring the environment to life. Of course, these techniques have been used before in shorts as well as for special effects in live-action movies, but Pixar burst onto the movie scene with the world's first fully 3D digitally animated feature film. 25 years later, we're going to see how it holds up, so let's take far too close a look at Toy Story.
You're my favorite deputy.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend.
Released in 1995, directed by John Lasseter in his feature film debut and starring Tom Hanks, Tim Allen and too many other guest stars to list, the film tells the story of the secret life of a group of toys who come to life when nobody is watching, and how a newcomer among them, as well as an imminent move of the child who owns them, puts our friendship and whole way of life in jeopardy. The first thing we see is a game in a child's bedroom where the toys we will see throughout the movie are being used to create a rather imaginative story.
Reach for the sky.
Oh no, Sheriff Woody!
The kid in question is Andy, played by John Morris, whose entire acting career seems to be voicing Andy in Toy Story movies, Toy Story shorts, Toy Story video games and other Disney series where Andy from Toy Story makes a guest appearance. Still, we are shown all we need to, or are going to find out about him. He loves playing with his toys, gets really engrossed in the stories he creates, he's blasé about potentially choking his baby sister who shares a room with him. Finally, his favourite toy is a cowboy he calls Woody, who is always the hero of his games. This credit sequence of Andy playing with Woody does a lot to demonstrate the reaches and limitations of this kind of animation. We get this beautifully smooth action and detailed environment, but we also see that human faces end up looking like something that wouldn't be out of place on the wall of a haunted house ride. This is of course simply a matter of 3D animation being in its infancy, and something that will be improved in subsequent Pixar movies, but for now they navigate around this problem by simply showing everything from the toy's perspective and keeping human screen time to a minimum. We also find out in passing that it's Andy's birthday, so as he and his sister Molly go downstairs for the party, leaving the toys all alone, we can be introduced to the characters proper, as all the toys come to life. This would have been a fun reveal, but this movie was so heavily promoted and advertised as being about the secret lives toys have when they're not being watched, that I don't imagine there was a single viewer, even kids watching this for the first time in cinemas, who was surprised by this. First toy we see moving and talking is Woody, played by Tom Hanks, who lets the rest of the cast know it's safe to come out and give their introductions.
Pull my string, the birthday party's today?
Smart, strong, sensual woman.
Okay, everybody, coast is clear.
Mr. Potato Head, played by Don Rickles in a role that stood between him and a quiet retirement. Ham, played by John Ratzenberger, who, by being so dedicated to the project and the only actor to show up to the rap party, earned himself a role in every Pixar movie since. Slinky, played by Jim Varney, somebody not particularly recognisable to Brits like me, but adored by Americans because of his character Ernest, used in adverts for just about everything. Rex, played by Wallace Shawn, and Molly's nightlight, Bo Peep, played by Annie Potts. She's hinted as being a love interest here, but nothing really comes of that, at least not for another 3 movies.
Hell yeah.
This is what movie called. We don't
Remember,
It's fucking basic.
I'm just a couple of blocks away.
We're also seeing several other silent toys, as it seems the rules in this world are all toys are sentient and capable of movement, but can only talk if they have a mouth, so games and non-character toys have to express themselves in different ways.
Draw. Oh! Got me again. Etch, you've been working on that draw. Fastest knobs in the West.
Not touching that one. Woody, who appears to be the leader, which I assume is based on seniority or just goes to the favourite toy by default, calls a meeting where we learn Andy and the family are set to move next week and that his birthday party was an unexpected development, causing them all to panic that Andy will get some new toys and forget about them. Not made any easier when they see Andy's friends arriving with presents.
They're getting bigger.
Wait, there's a nice little one over there.
Well, clearly that's not anything that will replace them. Looks like something for the garden, maybe swing ball or a badminton net. To keep their nerves in check, they decide to spy on Andy's party by means of Molly's baby monitor and the bucket of army men. Yes, I say men because that was accurate at the time. Those buckets of green soldiers were all men and only had about 4 different faces between them. Of course, that reflected real life at the time, as frontline soldiers were all men in the 90s. Since that changed in recent years, packs of soldiers have indeed been updated to include army women as well, though they are still green and all the same height and build, but I've never known a kid to actually comment on that. Once again, during this sequence, I am given to admire the level of detail in the animation here, the reflections in the varnished floor, the markings on the door where Andy has kicked it open. So downstairs they spy on Andy opening his presents and report back to the bedroom that none of the toys are in danger because Andy's friends apparently let their mums buy all the presents.
We've got a lunchbox here.
A lunchbox?
Lunchbox?
For lunch.
Okay, second present. It appears to be. Okay, it's bed sheets.
Who invited that kid?
Right now I'm starting to think that long thin one was a shower curtain. So all is well until it comes to the final present from Andy's mum. A little padding for some extra suspense.
It's a what? What is it? Oh no, you big lizard! Now I'll never know what it is. Way to go, Rex! No.
And we're introduced to Andy's brand new toy, a space ranger from a popular sci-fi cartoon, Buzz Lightyear, played by Tim Allen, who seems very dedicated to his character as he treats the box he came in like his own ship and all the other toys like they're aliens.
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Oh, yeah!
Ah! Whoa! Hey, whoa! Did I frighten you?
Despite his words of encouragement earlier, Woody proves to be the only one getting insecure about the arrival of a new toy, while all the others are excited about meeting Buzz and seeing all his features.
Please be careful. You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
Hey, a laser! How come you don't have a laser, Woody? It's not a laser, it's a...
Because he's a cowboy, and the sheriff in the 19th century wouldn't have had a laser. You might as well ask Bo Peep why she doesn't have a chainsaw. Although in both cases, those are toys I would totally have played with as a kid. Woody's petty paranoia does rather come out of left field, but watching it as an adult, it makes sense that the guy who was telling everybody else not to panic about being replaced turned out to be the one most threatened by the prospect of a rival for Andy's attention. Like he'd been overcompensating for his fear this was going to happen all the time.
What does a space ranger actually do?
He's not a space ranger! He doesn't fight evil or shoot lasers or fly!
Got to assume that's just his insecurity talking, because really he's not a cowboy, Ham isn't a pig, Rex isn't a dinosaur, but for the purposes of the way they relate to each other, they all assume these roles, and that's clearly what the others mean when they say Space Ranger. After an impressive stunt that enthralls everybody but Woody,
I found my moving buddy.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
That wasn't flying! That was falling with style!
that seems like an odd use of phrasing at this point, but maybe it will make sense if it comes back into play later on. We soon find out that Woody's concern wasn't exactly unfounded, as he loses first the affection of the fickle Bo Peep, then the attention of Andy, all shown in this montage where this iconic song by Randy Newman accompanies images of Andy playing more with Buzz and changing his whole room as space exploration replaces the Wild West as Andy's new obsession. Buzz, meanwhile, is just being an all-round good guy with his new friends, much to the resentment of Woody.
It looks as though I've been accepted into your culture. Your chief, Andy, inscribed his name on me.
Wow! With permanent ink, too!
Well!
In this next sequence where Woody confronts Buzz, we get some more demonstration of the extent of Pixar 3D animation, as we can see clearly communicative facial expressions. This is a frown in hand-drawn 2D, and this is an image of disappointment and depression.
Listen, Light Snack, you stay away from Andy. He's mine, and no one is taking him away from me.
We then get this exchange that doesn't really make sense given the rules of the universe, but who cares? A toy cowboy playing the role of a jealous and spiteful ex is really funny for a child audiences and adults alike. This is then followed by some quick-fire expositional action. First we find out that Buzz doesn't fully appreciate that he's a toy, rather he has the thought pattern and the memories of the character he represents.
My eyeballs could have been sucked from their sockets. You actually think you're the Buzz Lightyear?
I'll try and be brief here because this has been discussed by just about everybody, but this does indeed raise more than a few questions. Has Andy not once taken the helmet off when he was playing with Buzz? If Buzz is so sure he's a hero who needs to fix his spaceship and get off his planet, then why was he so happy to be claimed by Andy and have his markings on his foot? And of course, how does Buzz know how to act like a toy and go still whenever humans are looking? It could be that he has seen other toys do this and figured that is the custom on this planet, is to hide their sentience from the larger dominant race on the planet and is just trying to fit in. My understanding of this, however, is that going lifeless is a deep-rooted instinct in toys, like there's some mystical force that drives us to do it, and this overrides Buzz's determination to explore the planet and fix his ship. In that regard, it could be likened to the force in the Harry Potter franchise that binds house elves to stay in the home and follow the commands of their family. Just like that, this instinct can be overcome if toys are aware and focused, which may come into play later. Next we're introduced to Sid, who lives next door to Andy and is playing a rather destructive game.
Oh no, I can't bear to watch one of these again! Oh no, it's a combat Carl.
What's going on?
Apparently Combat Carl was a generic alternative to calling him Action Man or G.I. Joe. You'll notice the majority of the toys in this movie are generic or from fictional ranges. This is because the big two toy giants, Hasbro and Mattel, didn't want their well-known toys in the movie for a variety of reasons. Primarily they didn't have much faith in the movie being a box office success and so weren't confident they would come across well, though they didn't seem to mind some background advertising. Also there were issues when they saw the script that some of their action figures were acting in a way that didn't fit the character. Luckily Hasbro relented with allowing toys from their Play School line to be used, so we could have Mr. Potato Head as a central character. Back to Sid.
You mean that happy child?
That ain't no happy child.
He tortures toys just for fun.
Well, he is happy doing what he's doing. The toys are horrified that Sid likes to hurt toys, but he doesn't know he's hurting them. He just thinks he's playing a game with some pieces of lifeless plastic. He's hardly the only kid to use toys as targets, but we don't think these kids are mean-spirited. Well, maybe that one. Point is, most of these kids wouldn't play like that if they thought their toys would feel pain. Though, actually, it's not clear if the toys do feel pain in this universe. We'll come back to that. On to the main plot of this movie, as we see Andy playing with Buzz and Woody together. So Woody is being played with just as much, he's just not the one and only favourite anymore. He has to share the attention. However, because this guy has an ego more fragile than his stitching, he hatches a plot for Buzz to get lost behind the dresser, which works a little too well.
He's there. Just keep looking and talking.
Buzz!
So in 1996, Jeffrey Riddick would have been 25, maybe would have taken his young kids to see this movie. Then 4 years later, he comes up with this. Coincidence? Possibly. I don't even know if Riddick has kids, he's a rather private guy. Still, Potato Head doesn't think it was the forces of death that caused this.
I mean, Humpty Dumpty was pushed by Woody.
What?
Wait a minute, you don't think I meant to knock Buzz out the window, do you?
Well, they are kind of right. Maybe the window wasn't his target, but Woody was trying to knock Buzz down so Andy couldn't find him. Potato Head leads the rest of the toys in a lynch mob from which only Andy can save him. And there it is, the first ever sighting of the now iconic Easter egg A113 on the license plate. That was a number of a classroom where many Pixar animators had lectures in college and has appeared in every Pixar movie to date. Sometimes obvious, other times more difficult to spot. So Buzz hitches a ride and our two heroes face off when the car stops at the gas station, where we get some real dramatic moments. This blow up and fist fight that results in them falling out of the car and getting lost, the shocking reminder that it was once possible to get gas for $1.30 a gallon, and of course this confrontation that features the most quoted lines from the movie. Also the lines that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen named as their favourite.
You are a toy! You weren't the real Buzz Lightyear, you're an action figure!
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. Farewell.
Oh yeah? Well, good riddance, you loony!
This is an iconic scene for a reason. This fight has this fantastic balance of action and physical humour, plus the outburst and pettiness that follows gives some dramatic excitement without becoming too bogged down in the emotion in deference to the target audience. However, the resolution is something of a letdown, as I was expecting some sort of learning moment from one or both of them, maybe guilt overtaking them, sharing an apology and deciding they would be better off working together. Instead we get this moment where Woody realises he needs Buzz to testify to his sort of innocence, tricks him into going along with him, and without any kind of reconciliation sequence they continue on as friends.
Well then, let's climb aboard.
No, wait, Buzz! Let's get the bag! No one will see us there!
Negative. There are no restraining harnesses in the cargo area.
So Buzz has just forgotten about not being seen moving by humans now? Yes, that's the first ever appearance of the Pizza Planet truck, also in every Pixar movie after this. They arrive at Pizza Planet, which is not just a fast food place, but also an arcade, general entertainment centre for sugar-hyped kids, maybe with some bowling or mini-golf. With this in mind, it was originally going to be called Pizza Putt, which would get across the sort of place it was and might come close to making some parents snicker, but ultimately it was decided it would work better as a sci-fi themed attraction, allowing for some of these jokes where Buzz still thinks he's in a space station.
Now we need to find a ship that's headed for Sector 12.
Wait a minute, no, Buzz, this way. There's a special ship, I just saw it.
You mean it has hyperdrive?
And turf.
While funny, they can get repetitive, and we just have to assume the kids are also distracted by the games. They don't notice when toys are running along the floor, because Buzz isn't trying at all, and Woody just makes some token efforts to not be spotted. The chase lands them both in a claw grab machine, and we get this incredible sequence of alien teddies with a religious view of the machine and what they see as a choosing ceremony.
Claw's our master. Claw chooses who will go and who will stay.
This is ludicrous.
Hey, Bozo!
Unfortunately, the kid doing the choosing in this instance is Sid, who wins first an alien, then Buzz and Woody, because this claw is set to the strength of an industrial tool. No chance. Those games are rigged to only win a prize after a set number of games. After a win, the grip on the claw becomes so weak that it can't possibly pick anything up. Eventually, after about 20 more plays, it gets a bit stronger, so the players actually have a chance, but it will never have the strength to lift 2 full-size action figures. So back to Sid's house and some light horror where we learn that Sid doesn't just destroy toys, he also uses them for creative crafts as he puts them back together in funny ways. Can someone remind me why we're not supposed to like this kid?
Jeannie's all better now. Mom! She's lying! Whatever she says, it's not true!
Okay, he was a dick there, but really the most unlikable character at this point is Woody. He has continually mocked his colleague for suffering an identity crisis, and when he meets these differently abled toys, he runs away in horror, somehow getting into his head that they are cannibals, even though he knows they are just regular toys that Sid has destroyed. Still, we have to have Woody acting this way if he's going to have a redemption arc, and of course this is setting up for an important lesson later on. Andy arrives home, gaining the sympathy and respect of any kid in the audience who has lost a toy they like, and fast forward to the next day. After this cute and funny reminder that our villain is just a kid,
Your Pop-Tarts are ready! Alright!
I said I'd come back to this, so here it seems Woody does suffer pain when injured. Indeed, we have to ask, how have none of Sid's victim toys given in to the pressure, abandoned the rules and begged him for mercy? Heck, we saw Sid's dog destroy the alien earlier. He just took it without so much as an involuntarily squeal. Woody makes a break for freedom into a corridor at the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. No, it's just a landing outside Sid's room where our heroes are separated and Buzz ends up in the exposition room, always popular with the blue-collar American family. Tacky animal wallpaper, overflowing trash can, hunting trophies, TV sloppily mended with pliers, father asleep in a recliner surrounded by cans of soda? So, get it? This is a broke family, maybe a failed musician, who somehow have this big suburban house with an upstairs lounge. In addition to all this, the TV is helpfully playing the very commercial Buzz needed to see to realise Woody was right all along and push him into his existential crisis.
Buzz Lightyear action figure and save a galaxy near you! Buzz Lightyear!
Available at all Al's Toy Mountain outlets in the Tri-County area.
Lovely bit of foreshadowing for the sequel there as well. Contrived though this moment may be, it serves its purpose to lead us into this beautiful emotional sequence that brings a hush over all kids and me. I love the way Buzz just walks out in a daze, all thoughts about catching up with Woody or worry about the dog being out here forgotten. Going through this sequence of emotional reactions from shock and depression to a determined denial in the face of evidence, and finally his resigned acceptance as he fails to fly and doesn't even consider getting up or even getting upset about his detached arm. And that must be hurting him, as we discovered earlier. Toys do feel pain, though I am acutely aware that can be overrode by a strong sense of despair. Found by Sid's little sister, Buzz is taken to a tea party, and I'm sorry to say this is one scene that isn't as well written or performed as it could be.
Mom, where are you?
Buzz, hey, Buzz, are you okay?
Gone! It's all gone.
I think you've had enough tea for today. Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat?
While I appreciate we had to lighten the mood after that dramatic moment, I've never been a fan of funny drunks in children's movies. Not that I have any kind of moral objection to the subject being presented to children. I don't condone any form of censorship. But there are precious few adult-focused comedies that can pull off the funny melancholy drunk routine, so it should be no surprise that humour for children just can't make it work. Plus it goes on too long, right through this scene and into the next, where Buzz refusing to show his face prevents Woody from convincing his friends that he's not a killer.
Just a sec. Buzz, will you get up here and give me a hand?
Okay, that's funny. I've always been a sucker for visual puns. But apart from that one joke, this sequence with Woody trying to convince the others that Buzz is alive and well, and they have put their differences aside, while Potato Head convinces them not to trust him, does drag on. Really, this whole section of the movie makes for a tiresome slog as we wait for the finale. Culminating in this moment that, while it is rather predictable, I can appreciate has a good lesson for the child audience. Woody was scared of the disabled toys because they look different to anything he's used to, but they ultimately turn out to be good, helpful friends as they fix Buzz and some other toys that had been pulled apart by Sid. Don't judge by appearances is a simple but highly important lesson for kids that should not be overlooked. Immediately after this, the pace picks up again as Sid has received his long-awaited package of a huge firework that he plans to use to explode Buzz in the morning, after this storm has passed. While Andy spends his last night in his current bedroom pining for his two favourite toys that seem to be lost forever, they are having a bonding moment next door as Woody tries to encourage Buzz out of his despair and persuade him that being a toy is a good life and he should be enjoying his playtime with Andy. However, it's only when Woody opens up about his insecurities and admits to being jealous that Buzz finds his strength, literally, to try and escape with him.
All right. Buzz, hey, I'm out.
Almost there.
However, before they can make that move, Sid wakes up at the dawn of a new day, which is also the dawn of the spoiler section of this review. Here's where I'm going to talk about the ending of this movie, so if you don't want to know how this ends, then either stop this video and borrow a neighbour's kid's Disney account to watch it, or just skip to this timecode for my final thoughts and ratings. For everyone else, let's go right on with the end. With the moving truck arriving and Buzz being taken to the garden with a rocket strapped to his back, Woody knows they have to act fast, so he summons the disabled toys to discuss a plan that he seems to have come up with in seconds. Either that or he's dreamed of this moment all the time he's been next door to Sid. This Great Escape style sequence really puts us in the right mood and is made funnier when you realise it was literally just to get them all outside. The plan proper starts here. Woody waits until Sid is ready to launch Buzz before making his move, though he is cutting it a little close.
3, 2, 1!
Reach for the sky.
Huh? It's busted.
Who are you calling busted, Buster? That's right. I'm talking to you, Sid Phillips.
So the crux of the plan is to reveal to Sid that they are alive. While Woody gives him a stern talking to, the rest of Sid's mangled toys go Dawn of the Dead on him, approaching him and grabbing him threateningly, leading up to this little nugget of a horror movie reference.
We'll find out, Sid. We toys can see everything.
Sid runs for cover, his perspective changed forever, and I want to know what happens to him between now and the next time we see him in Toy Story 3. Do the toys ever move and talk to him again? Because if they don't, he could be left doubting his sanity as he tries desperately to get them to say something and prove it wasn't a waking nightmare. Or if they do talk to him, accepting that he knows the secret, this could inspire Sid to become the world's only human ambassador for toys and dedicate his life to preventing toy cruelty and helping the injured toys. No time for Woody and Buzz to worry about that as they have a moving truck to catch. We get a typical action scene with a few near misses, some animal cruelty, one final moment of miscommunication before the other toys finally accept Woody is trying to help Buzz join them.
It is Buzz! Woody was telling the truth!
What have we done?
Great, now I have guilt.
And this grand chase down a busy suburban road in broad daylight. There's this joke about the baby seeing the toys moving while her mother doesn't notice, but there are drivers going past on both sides. There are pedestrians walking past. Sid isn't the only person to know the secret after this. Despite them having commandeered a professional standard turbo-powered remote-controlled car, they don't quite make it onto the truck, meaning their only hope is rocket power. Some plastic-faced gurning, Buzz has learned to use his wings to glide, allowing for the payoff from that line Woody so helpfully set up earlier.
Hey, Buzz! You're flying!
This isn't flying, this is falling with style.
And finally, Buzz gets to demonstrate his flair for the dramatic, safe in the knowledge that Andy doesn't question reality or his own memory. So all is well with the family and toys, they settle into our new home and celebrate Christmas with one final surprise.
Oh, what is it? What is it? Wow, a puppy!
So that was Toy Story, a daring venture into a new realm of animation, and wow did it pay off. The 3D anime is just mesmerising from beginning to end. Frequently throughout this movie I was pausing to make notes and would just want to stop and admire the insane detail. The performances are all top quality, and while the pacing may be a little off in parts, the story as a whole is entertaining and very few scenes are wasted. Of course, the central concept of toys being sentient does raise a few logic questions with parents or young adults who watch this movie, but really that's just something to laugh about, while the child audiences don't think to question anything and are just mesmerised by an idea and story that really plays into their imagination. This was Pixar starting as they definitely meant to go on, and if all subsequent movies had looked like this, we would have been perfectly happy, so when the animation continued to improve in following years, it was a bonus. Both the character-driven and physical humour were on point, and the soundtrack was spot on. There isn't a single song that doesn't fit perfectly in terms of both mood and timing. I give this movie 4 slippers, always worth a revisit, and I would also recommend the fan-made live-action version on YouTube, where the whole movie has been recreated with puppets, actors and some stop motion. Thank you for watching. Just in case your toys forget to do it when you're not looking, please help my channel grow by clicking that like button, leaving a comment, sharing if you can, and subscribing if you haven't already, as now I'm back in action, I'm looking to put out new reviews every week. I've been the Pyjama Critic, and remember, if you see toys running down the road or around an arcade, pretend you didn't notice them. They may be in a panic, but they likely think nobody is watching.
are a child's plaything!